The helicopter blades screamed against the gray morning sky as rain streaked across the glass rooftop, and below them the city looked small, fragile, and far away. No one noticed the janitor standing near the helipad, his uniform damp, his hands trembling, not from fear, but from memories he'd buried years ago. What everyone did notice was the laugh. Sharp, careless, powerful. The CEO's laugh cut through the wind as she pointed at him and mocked, "Fly this helicopter, and I'll marry you." What she didn't know, what no one knew, was that this single dad janitor once flew through fire, blood, and impossible odds, and the sky still remembered his name. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the hidden strength inside ordinary people, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this deserve to be felt together. His name was Ayan Malik, and to the people in that glass and steel empire, he was invisible. Every morning before dawn, he cleaned the marble floors of the headquarters of Aurora Dynamics, the most powerful tech aviation conglomerate in the country. He scrubbed away footprints of executives who never looked down, emptied trash cans full of discarded dreams, and polished windows that reflected lives far bigger than his own. At 38, Ayan carried himself quietly, his shoulders slightly bent as if the weight of the past pressed constantly against him. He was a single father to a 7-year-old daughter named Zara, whose laughter was the only sound that could still reach the deepest corners of his heart. Every night, after long shifts, he returned to a one-room apartment, cooked simple meals, helped with homework, and told bedtime stories about brave heroes who never gave up, stories he once lived but never spoke about. Aurora Dynamics was led by Elena Cross, a woman known across industries as brilliant, ruthless, and untouchable. She had built her empire with sharp decisions and sharper words, and the world admired her for it. Elena believed emotions were weaknesses and kindness was inefficient. She trusted data, numbers, and control. That morning, she stood on the rooftop helipad surrounded by executives and investors, preparing to demonstrate the company's latest emergency response helicopter prototype. Storm clouds rolled in faster than expected, and tension hung thick in the air. Engineers whispered concerns about weather conditions, but Elena waved them off. Risk, she believed, was the birthplace of greatness. Ayan was there only because a spill had been reported near the helipad entrance. As he mopped the slick surface, he overheard fragments of conversation about flight systems, wind resistance, and manual overrides. His hands paused, instinct stirring, old knowledge flickering back to life. Years ago, he had known every sound a helicopter made, every vibration that meant safety or death. But those days felt like a lifetime ago, buried beneath loss and silence. As the storm intensified, the demonstration grew tense. The pilot hesitated, pointing out a malfunction in the navigation system triggered by the weather. Elena's patience snapped. She accused the team of fear, of incompetence. Her eyes swept the rooftop, landing on Ayan standing awkwardly near the edge. Something about the contrast amused her, the powerful machine behind her and the powerless man before her. That was when she laughed and made the remark that would change everything, her words carried by the wind, cruel and dismissive. The crowd chuckled nervously, assuming it was just another example of her sharp humor. Ayan felt heat rush to his face, not from embarrassment, but from something deeper. His heart pounded as memories surged: rescue, missions in mountain storms, evacuations under enemy fire, nights spent flying blind to save lives. He remembered the last mission that took everything from him, the explosion, the crash, the silence that followed. He remembered waking up in a hospital, learning that his wife hadn't survived the accident that happened while he was deployed. He remembered holding his newborn daughter alone, promising her he would always be there, no matter the cost. That promise had led him to walk away from the sky forever. But now, the sky was calling again. The helicopter's systems suddenly failed completely, alarms blaring as wind pushed the aircraft dangerously close to the edge of the helipad. Panic rippled through the executives. The pilot froze, unsure whether to abort or attempt a risky maneuver. Elena's confidence faltered for the first time. Ayan didn't think. He moved. He dropped the mop and ran forward, shouting warnings about rotor drift and crosswinds, his voice calm, precise, trained. Heads turned. The pilot stared at him, startled, as Ayan pointed out adjustments, corrections, steps that needed to be taken immediately. Security tried to stop him, but the pilot hesitated, and then listened. Under Ion's guidance, the helicopter stabilized just enough to be secured back onto the pad. The storm raged on, but disaster had been narrowly avoided. Silence followed, heavy and stunned. Elena stared at Ion as if seeing him for the first time. Not as a janitor, not as a joke, but as a man who had just saved her company, her investors, and possibly lives. She demanded to know who he was, her tone sharp but shaken. Ion answered simply, humbly, explaining that he had once been a military rescue pilot before life took a different turn. He didn't boast. He didn't ask for recognition. He just wanted to finish his shift and go home to his daughter. But Elena couldn't let it go. She ordered an immediate background check, her mind racing. The results stunned her. Ion Malik had been one of the most skilled pilots in elite rescue operations, decorated for bravery, known for flying missions others refused. His disappearance from aviation records had been sudden and unexplained. As she read deeper, she learned about the crash, the loss of his wife, and his quiet withdrawal from the world. For the first time in years, Elena felt something unfamiliar tighten in her chest, respect, mixed with guilt. Over the following weeks, Elena found reasons to cross paths with Ion. She watched how he spoke gently to his daughter when she visited the building after school, how he never complained, never demanded more than he was given. She offered him a position as a test pilot, with a salary that could change his life overnight. Ion refused at first. He was afraid of the sky, afraid of reopening wounds, afraid of failing Zara. But Zara, wise beyond her years, encouraged him, telling him that heroes don't stop being heroes just because they're hurt. The first time Ion flew again, his hands shook as he gripped the controls. The sky felt both familiar and terrifying. But as the helicopter lifted, something inside him healed. He remembered who he was, not just a janitor, not just a grieving widower, but a man capable of saving lives. Elena watched from the ground, her heart pounding, realizing how wrong she had been to judge strength by titles and suits. As months passed, Aurora dynamics transformed. Elena began changing policies, investing in people instead of just profits. Ion became a lead pilot and trainer, respected not for his past, but for his character. Their relationship evolved slowly, carefully, not built on a careless joke, but on shared growth, humility, and understanding. Elena apologized one evening, not as a CEO, but as a human being. Acknowledging her arrogance and the pain her words had caused. Ion forgave her, not because he needed her apology, but because forgiveness freed him. Near the end of the year, another storm hit the city, worse than the first. Emergency calls flooded in. Ion led the rescue operations, flying through chaos to save stranded families, trapped workers, and injured children. Elena watched the live feeds, tears streaming down her face as she realized the true meaning of leadership was service. When Ion returned safely, exhausted but alive, the entire team stood in silent respect. That night, Elena stood beside him on the rooftop where it all began. The city lights shimmered below, the wind calmer now. There was no mockery in her voice this time, no laughter. Only sincerity. She told him that his courage had changed her, that his kindness had rebuilt something broken inside her. And though marriage was never a condition or a prize, she admitted that loving him felt like the bravest thing she had ever done. If this story is touching your heart right now, if you feel the weight of second chances and quiet strength, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and let us know in the comments how it made you feel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Before the final moments, we have a special request. Please comment the word hope if you believe that no one is ever too broken or too invisible to rise again. Ion went home that night to Zara, lifting her into his arms, feeling complete in a way he hadn't thought possible. He had flown again, loved again, and proven, to himself more than anyone, that dignity doesn't come from titles, and greatness often hides behind the most ordinary uniforms. And somewhere above the quiet city, the sky watched him with approval, welcoming him home at last.